Hello friends, Koolio here, and welcome back to the channel. Today guys, we're taking another look at Last CLOUDIA. Now I have done a first impressions live stream video for the game, but I haven't made like a dedicated first impressions video where I go over all the different mechanics, the things that I like, the things that I don't like about the game, and share them with you in a dedicated video. But I figured this would be the perfect time because, to let you guys know, for full disclosure, this video is sponsored by Last CLOUDIA, so if you are interested in checking the game out, then head on down to the description down below and download the game today. Now to give you guys a little bit of a background on my experience with the game, I played it during the live stream and then I didn't get a chance to really play a lot because I got really busy with family stuff and other things that I was doing at the time, so I didn't really continue a lot of playing it even though I really enjoyed the game. Well, coming back and doing this video, I kind of ended up messing up and I wasn't able to find my old account. So I am playing on a brand new account compared to the one that I did in the live stream, just to let you guys know. So if you guys enjoy this video, if you guys want to see more videos like this, then hit the like button and comment down below your guys' thoughts on Last CLOUDIA. If you're enjoying it, if you're not enjoying it, all that stuff down below. Also, if you guys are brand new to the channel, consider subscribing so you guys can stay up to date in the latest in mobile gaming. All right, let's go ahead and talk about Last CLOUDIA. So the first thing I want to talk about is obviously the game's presentation, specifically surrounding its gorgeous 2D pixel art graphics for all the different characters. Now the game has this really cool animated style for all the pixel characters where they place it in a 3D environment. And at first, I wasn't really sure how that was going to kind of work out. When I first saw how they were going to present the game and how the game was going to look, I thought it looked great. And then playing the game, it looked even better. Like, this is a game that I feel like videos really don't do it justice. It's a game that you kind of have to jump into and actually play it yourself. But again, I think this is probably going to be dependent on your taste, whether or not you're going to like the 2D pixel art. Me personally, I think they look really good. On top of that, the game has really amazing looking 2D animated art for all the different characters that I really like. Now, one of the biggest things, and kind of like a pet peeve of mine too, is when games have beautiful character art and then they hide the art behind a bunch of user interface. Well, luckily this game has the ability where you can hide the user interface and just take a look at the 2D art. You can move it, zoom in and out and all that stuff. So I really like that. So thank you so much, Last CLOUDIA, for letting us look at your beautiful art. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, and I usually don't talk a lot about this kind of stuff with a lot of other gacha games that I've played because they never really stood out like this game does, but the soundtrack for this game is just beautiful. Just go ahead and take a listen to it for just a second. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and actually talk about the gameplay. Now starting off, there is a lot of story in this game. Pretty much as you're playing through the campaign, there's quite a lot of stuff as you follow the adventures of the main characters and his little group of adventurers as they're kind of as they're moving through this world. Now, one of the things you can do too, if you're not a big fan of story, you can skip it. But I do think the story is great enough that I feel like you guys should at least give it a try and at least pay attention to the story instead of just skipping through it. They also have a lot of story background as well for all of the different characters. And the story kind of like gets really unique and intriguing, specifically when you go and start playing the unit stories, where you get a little bit of like their background and how they're connected to other characters. It was kind of a little touch that I really appreciated. Now let's go ahead and actually talk about the combat of this game. Now the combat of this game is sort of a combination of automatic gameplay and manual gameplay. Now your characters are going to automatically attack, but if you do it manually, I did notice that your characters and your attacks seem to be a little bit more focused and a bit quicker. So if you want to get through some certain segments and not wait for your characters to kind of clumsily turn around and start attacking an enemy, if you attack the attack button, your characters seem to be directed a little bit better. Now, each of the characters have a variety of different abilities that they can use, with more being unlocked as you upgrade them through their ability tree, which we're going to talk a little bit later. As well, characters can acquire magic abilities, passive abilities and stuff, equipping it through their skill function system or by acquiring it by equipping specific arcs. Now, before we talk about arcs and characters, we need to talk about the red and the blue souls. Probably the most important thing in the game that you're gonna really need to pay attention to. Now, for example, for every single arc that you equip onto your character, it requires a certain amount of souls for each time that you enter a stage. Now, for example, my Prince Gorm has equipped an arc called the Holy Flag of Norlian, which costs 84 blue souls for every time I enter into a stage. Now, you can actually see your total team cost before you go into the stages to kind of get an idea of how you want to manage your resources by either swapping out arcs that require different souls. You can also acquire arcs simply just by playing through the game, through gifts, through prizes, by accomplishing achievements. So you do get it here and there quite often, as well as you can acquire it through soul wells too. But it is a little thing to pay attention to make sure that you have the necessary souls in order for you to play through the game and progress. And so it's important for you guys to manage your souls and understand the cost when you're kind of trying to do as much as you can. And it kind of prevents you from just kind of going all out and grinding as much as you want. But it's an interesting stamina system that you can kind of manage on your own. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the characters. Now, this game doesn't actually have a whole lot of characters in it currently, but they are adding more as time goes on. Now, I think that's actually kind of a good thing that they don't have a whole lot of characters, because it allows us to kind of focus on the units that we currently have without trying to summon as many units as we feel is necessary, because a lot of the units that you get even early on are actually fairly good units to use throughout the story, as well as I also think it's a good thing because it allows the developers to develop the individual stories and the personality of all the characters that come into the game. Now, as well as you guys know, they have really great looking characters, great 2D art. You can hide the user interface, you can check it out and stuff like that. But not only unlocking and getting new characters and having these beautiful art for you to take a look at, you also get a lot of free stuff. Now, as you go through and you grow your characters, you unlock more characters, and you unlock their stories and you play through them and everything like that, through the unit stories or through the library, the game will actually give you a bunch of crystals. Now, we're gonna go into crystals a little bit later, but that's one thing I didn't notice the first time I played through. But if you go to the library section for your different heroes, there's a bunch of crystals the game is going to give you as you focus on those individual characters. Now, each of the characters have their own strengths and their own weaknesses, whether that be strong defense, powerful intelligence, or perhaps they're resistant to cold damage, or maybe they're weak to poison. And understanding the strengths and the weaknesses of all the different characters and how they combine with the arcs makes for a pretty compelling team building kind of exercise. I love combining different arcs that kind of strengthen characters' already great strengths, or maybe improves or protects against their different weaknesses. I really like that kind of balance and that kind of play style when it comes to preparing and building your specific heroes. Now, not only do you have the way to like level up and progress them, equipping items and stuff like that, but it also has sort of like a horizontal progression system as well for all the different characters called, at least I'm calling it the ability tree, where you can unlock a variety of different abilities as well as improve certain stats by spending resources in the ability tree. Now, I love the ability tree. It gives us an awesome way of horizontal progression for all of our different characters, adding more strength, learning new abilities, or upgrading abilities. It's something that kind of helps us not only right now progress our characters, but a way for us to kind of focus on endgame progression as well. Now, certain characters also have something known as traits. Now, these are very specialized abilities that only certain characters can use. For example, Prince Gorms has a trait called Playing Dead, which allows him to revive next turn if he's defeated with 1 HP. Just a little kind of a gameplay gimmick, but I do like it. I like those little tiny special abilities the characters have. Now, as you develop your characters and you play through the game, they will acquire different skills, whether those are magical or passive skills. Now, you can only equip a certain amount depending on their current skill cost. Yeah, it's kind of another way, a little mini, not even like a mini game, but kind of a way for you to streamline your character's play style as well as their powers. Do you want certain passive abilities going to certain dungeons? Perhaps you need a specific ability to use if you're going up against a boss. I like that system as well. Again, it's another kind of horizontal progression system for us to use for our characters. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about arcs. Now, I'm not usually a big fan of games that include some form of equipment or artifact summoning combined with your character pool, but I do think the arcs in this game look so dang cool that I'm willing to kind of forgive them. I actually really like the look of these of the arcs in this game, and it kind of has given me a little bit of a drive to kind of go out and collect them all. Now, not only that, as you they're a way to, like I said before, they're a way to improve and strengthen your different characters or make up for their weaknesses, as well as different ways to acquire magical abilities. Now, for example, my God of Storms arc, which I have equipped to Ray the Beast, I equipped it onto that because as I upgrade and level up my God of Storms arc, it will eventually enhance all of his Thunder type attacks, and he's a very Thunder type attacking focused character, so it's already going to improve his overall capabilities. Now, another thing that is important to arcs is being able to level them up. Now, this is another thing that leads back to the blue and red souls, because it takes a lot of souls in order to level up your arcs, but it is definitely worth it. But it's another thing that you need to keep track of dependent on how many souls you have and dependent on which arcs you want to level up. This is a game that tells you to focus on certain characters and arcs first before kind of branching out and dividing your resources between a whole bunch of stuff. Now, there is another thing that I thought was pretty cool, and I actually just came across it in this current playthrough, is as you're summoning duplicates of arcs, you will gain what's known as arc ether for that specific arc. Now, once you've gotten to 100% for that arc's specific ether, I'm gonna say, that arc will actually unlock a very powerful equipment item that, if the character has it equipped, boosts the capabilities of that arc. And that's something I didn't notice before, but I'm telling you, those equipment items look really, really cool. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about is obviously monetization and crystals and summoning in this game. Yes, arcs and units are combined into one summoning pool. Some people may not like it, some people may enjoy it. I personally think it's fine due to the fact that I think the arcs are really, really cool. And when you do get a unit, because they're so rare, it's really kind of exciting. Now you can spend real life money to acquire crystals, but I will have to say this is a pretty free-to-play friendly game. As you're playing through this game and as you're completing stages, for every stage that you complete, if you've completed all of its requirements, will give you 110 free crystals. Basically, after playing for maybe like an hour or two, you're definitely gonna have enough crystals to be able to do another 10 times summon, or even spend those crystals to buy special packs that you can use to boost up your characters. Again, you can spend money to get those packs, but why spend the money when you can basically just go and play for a couple of hours, get the resources that you need in order to unlock a lot of that stuff, or summon for new units, or summon for more art. Now, this is all in the early game. I don't know what it's like towards the end game, if there's not enough content to complete to get more crystals, but I have found that the early game impressions is the game is pretty free to play friendly. So those are my opinions on this game. Do I think it's worth playing? Totally. Is it a game I'm gonna continue to play from now? Yeah, absolutely. I think it's beautiful. The art design is great. The character designs are great. The monetization, as of right now, I think is pretty fair. I like the progression of the characters. The combat, even though it may not be everybody's favorite, can become more intriguing down the line. And so there you guys go. That's my thoughts on Last Claudia. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. Again, comment down below your guys' thoughts on Last Claudia. And if you're brand new to the channel, consider subscribing. All right, friends, my name's Koolio, and I'll see you next time.